From a season being put on hold to millions of dollars being spent on a single episode, these are some of the most shocking behind-the-scenes details that you probably didn't know about The Walking Dead. Starting off with Season 8 being halted due to a very serious reason. It's no secret that The Walking Dead requires some serious stunts, and fortunately, the franchise was able to get some great talent on their team. But performing stunts is never easy. The world of The Walking Dead is filled with dangers, crawling with zombies trying to kill the living, and even more dangerous than them are the desperate humans. But that's all fiction, right? I mean, you would assume that people working on the show surely aren't in any danger. However, unfortunately, this isn't the case. In 2017, production on the 8th season was put on hold after a stuntman sustained significant injuries on set. John Bernecker fell from a height of 30 feet to the concrete floor and suffered a life-threatening head injury. The veteran stuntman couldn't survive the injuries and passed away. Bernecker had been in the stunt business for nearly a decade and managed to get an extensive portfolio under his name. So it's only fitting that the studio paid respect to him. The production resumed after a while, but Bernecker was dearly missed by the entire team. And if this broke your heart, the next fact is going to leave you shocked because of the way the producers prevented leaks. What keeps the show interesting is the suspense. Viewers are trying to figure out what will happen next, so it makes sense that the creators will try to keep the suspense going. But one way or another, spoilers find their way out, and The Walking Dead is no exception. A website named The Spoiling Dead used to actually spoil plots even before the season aired, like the time they spoiled that Glenn was alive in season 6 by sharing pictures of him shooting new seasons. So the studio had to figure something out. When the time came for season 7, they issue a legal warning like usual to threaten the site. But that's not even the best part. The production team shot 11 different death scenes of all the present characters, and later worked with the editors to see who dies. All of that just to keep Negan's victim a secret. I have to give it to them. That was actually pretty clever. Even if the footage had been leaked, it would have been pointless because nobody can confirm who dies. Except for the creators, of course. But that's not the only clever thing the creators do on set.
Wait! Thank God. You all right?
This next one is proof of just that. Did you know the creators segment the walkers? One of the best aspects of The Walking Dead is that the walkers are played by real people and not by CGI, and their makeup takes about 2 hours. So if you're gonna spend a lot of money and time making a zombie, you probably don't want them to be seen from 200 feet away on the big screen. Now, I'm not saying that the extras in the background don't receive love, but it does lead to a classification of zombies on the set. Walkers are put into different groups, based on how close they are to the camera and how long they will be on screen. If they're a long way from the camera, all they get are dirty clothes and a little bit of makeup. They might grab a prosthetic or some prop if they get a little closer, but the ones in full frame, those are the ones who really get the Walking Dead treatment, which is fair considering each season the people in charge of the show hire up to 200 extras, and every once in a while the same extras show up on the show.
You'll feel it sometimes.
However, the makeup and costume designers have to make sure that viewers don't notice. So, giving the full treatment to every single one of them would mean a huge amount of time and end up being pointless, since most of the walkers won't even flex it on screen. And while I'm talking about the screen, a zombie apocalypse isn't the only difference between the real world and the fiction. Time passes by differently in The Walking Dead. Most of the TV shows that we've seen in the last decade have followed a linear passage of time. But that's not the case with this show. Although The Walking Dead had been airing for 12 years, by the time the 11th season was aired, it did not follow a linear timeline. This made a lot of fans wonder how long it had been since the first outbreak of the virus that caused society to fall apart. To be honest, even I was curious about that, and fortunately, the show revealed how long it had been since Rick Grimes fell into a coma and woke up in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. The timeline was shown in that season 10 episode Here's Negan. Based on what he saw in the flashbacks, the 11 seasons were between 12 and 13 years after the zombie apocalypse started. I'm glad I can finally put this one to rest, but what I still find shocking even today is the cost of making this show. Making just one episode can cost millions of dollars. The Walking Dead is an exceptionally well-produced show, but it's by no means cheap to make just a single episode of The Walking Dead. When the show started in 2010, each episode of the first season cost an average of $3.4 million. Wow, that's a lot of money for a cable TV series. But luckily, the price didn't stay that high for long. As expected, the huge budget caused problems between the showrunner and AMC, which led to the cost of the show being cut, and these days, AMC spends a humble amount of about $2.75 million on each episode. I know what you're thinking, that's still a lot. Well, you can't make a show like The Walking Dead for cheap, and even though the cost of production is still huge, it's a lot cheaper than the cost of the first season, which might be why the show has lasted as long as it has. But wait, what does all that money even go into? Well, the cast's salary is a big part of that budget. More than 40% of the budget, to be honest. Although, it's easy to think that special effects and makeup take up most of the show's budget, but that's not the case. It's the cast that takes up the most of the money. In the early seasons, Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, made a whopping $92,000 per episode. And Norman Reedus made between $80,000 and $124,000 per episode. Then, to take things further up the ladder, costs went up, which used up about 40% of the budget just for 2 cast members. There are more cast members, by the way. They also get paid, so you can imagine how much the production is paying the actors. Even though Lincoln died and left the show, there are still some famous celebrities working on the show who took money away from his original salary. The creators and producers just can't catch a break financially from this show. Am I right? Well, this show has been AMC's big moneymaker, so it's all good, I guess. Georgia was a clever location to shoot the show. One of the main reasons Georgia has been successful in attracting film production is the state's generous tax advantages, which can increase a film's budget significantly, thinking in terms of hundreds of thousands of dollars. That makes sense. And compared to other shows, The Walking Dead takes a unique approach. All of that money supposedly goes straight into AMC's pockets instead of being reinvested. A clever strategy, I must say. Well, those were the most shocking Walking Dead behind-the-scenes details. See you in the next video.